also one of the conveners for Revitalize Puna. It is my honor and privilege to wish you all a Happy New Year and welcome you to our third Revitalize Puna community activation, co-hosted by myself and our recovery officer, Douglas Namle. We are excited to be with all of you in this virtual space. We really hoped that we could be together in person at Sure Foundation, but with the increase in COVID numbers around our island, wanted to make sure that we were doing things in a safe and meaningful way. So mahalo nui for adapting in these very, very dynamic times. It is our hope, crossing fingers, that things will be stable and calm enough for us to come together and celebrate all of the wonderful work that is happening, driven by the county and organically in community together in April. As we get started, in order to set the tone for today's conversation, to ground ourselves, to ask for permission, to ask for wisdom, to ask for guidance, do want to introduce our Cultural Resilience Capacity Area Co-Chair, Leila Kealoha, to lead us through our opening protocols. Leila?
Mahalo, Ashley. Aloha mai kākou. Aloha e nā akua, aloha e nā aumākua, aloha e nā ali'i o moku o ke awe, aloha e nā kupuna, aloha e nā mākua, aloha e ka lehu lehu. E ho mai, ka ike mai, luna mai e. O nā mea huna no ea. O nā mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, ka ike mai, luna mai e. O nā mea huna no e au, o nā mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, ka ike mai, luna mai e. O nā mea huna no e au, o nā mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai e. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Leila. Okay. Want to make sure that we are all on the same page as to what we are going to be covering together over the next 2.5 hours. Thank you for being so generous and spending your afternoon with us. We've just concluded our welcome and opening protocol. Mahalo again, Leila. Douglas and I will be providing a short overview of the purpose and outcome for today. Then we will be introducing our Resilience Capacity Area Co-Chairs to provide an update on everything that they have been doing to make progress on their goals over the last 90 days, as well as share with you their goals and intentions for 2022. There is always an invitation for all of you to contribute in these spaces. From there, we will be shifting to our first breakout room to complete our first activity together, Heart and Soul Statements. After that, coming back to a general plenary session where we will get updates from leadership at county departments and from the state. Following those updates will be time for Q&A by the audience of county and state leadership. We will be convening a 5-minute break to reset and ground ourselves before we move into our next breakout room activity, and that is the Revitalize Pohiki Park Planning Charrette experience. From there, we will come back together to do our reflection, go over final announcements, and Leila will lead us through our closing protocol. Because we're having to shift and move into various spaces of how we work together, come together, these environments mean many, many hands and folks are coming together exact same time. Want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of how we will be coming together and showing up in this space. So have a quick list of ground rules that I'll be asking Douglas to review with the group. Douglas?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see everyone, and I'm glad we could be together today, even under these circumstances. I think similar to our past activations, these ground rules that we're offering are really about being able to come together with Aloha, and want to just walk through some of the ground rules we've identified. First off being how we want to hear from everyone and to really value everyone's views. For all of us, both community members coming together, participants from the county side and co-chairs to listen with an open mind, to speak with Aloha and offer solutions. We really encourage and invite everyone's contributions to this work. And during portions of our agenda when we are going to be asking for questions, but also if we're in more talk and sharing mode and you have questions, please use the chat function to capture it. And our staff will moderate it so that they can raise it with some of us who are leading the conversations, so we can address any questions that folks may have.
Mahalo, Douglas. Director Kern, would you like to introduce the mayor?
Sure, thank you. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, Zendo Kern, Planning Director for Hawaii County. Hope everyone's year is off to a great start. Really pleasure to be here. I get the prime opportunity to introduce Mayor Roth to say a few words. With that, I will hand the floor over to Mayor Roth, and from there, we'll hand it back over to Douglas to go over some purpose and outcome. Mayor Roth.
Hello, everybody. First off, let me thank Councilwoman Kirkowitz and the team that's putting this on. Really appreciate everything that we're doing. It's a great opportunity for us to get a chance to listen to the community. I have a whole team of people here. As I keep on looking, there's some of my directors that are here. Of course, Zendo Kern. I see our R&D director, Doug Adams, our Parks and Recreation director, Maurice Messina. I'm sure there's a few other people from the county that are here as well. We do plan on listening and moving forward as we go forward to Revitalize Puna. And just want to thank you all for being part of this gathering. We want to thank you in advance for the comments, good, bad, whatever. I think this is a great opportunity for the community and the county to work together to really help our community thrive and succeed and create a better tomorrow. So that's all I have. I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this. Aloha.
Well, thank you, Mayor Roth. I want to say thank you to you and your team also, which we're part of, for the continued support, showing up at the meetings, listening, guiding, adjusting, and helping the entire process move forward, which is a challenging process, but I think collectively we're doing the best job we can. Just want to thank you for your continued support. That will hand it back over to Douglas.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Kern. If I could just ask, great. It's my privilege to really kind of help ground our meeting tonight with Ashley to really focus on the outcomes and purpose. Want to share this community engagement spectrum. It is a foundation for how we've stood up this process to really work with community. It is a spectrum in terms of the types of engagement. And as we walk through it, we've highlighted 3 areas along the way, informing as a means to, provide updates and what many of you will hear this evening from folks on the county and on the state side. Consult as an opportunity, like with the Revitalize Pohiki effort that we're going to spend the latter half of our time together on, really ensuring that everyone is at the table in terms of the really very important decisions we have in front of us to invest in this area that's really vital to our Puna communities. And then kind of the third example on the empower side, which is really about the work of these resilience capacity areas that many of you have signed up for and been involved with. Really appreciate all the work that's happened to date. And another foundation of the work that we were doing through Revitalize Puna and also the resilience capacity areas is about this funding we received from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Development. Their program called Rural Placemaking Innovation Challenges supports rural communities nationwide. We're one of 14 grantees and one of 2 in Hawaii, the other one in Kauai. And I'm very privileged to have this support, but really what it is about is resources and efforts to implement the Kilauea Recovery and Resilience Plan, which was released last year. These resilience capability areas are how we do it. And many of the activities that we've been undergoing and what we'll cover today are all kind of building the picture to basically inform our implementation strategy, which in grant terms is the strategic placemaking plan. So we'll cover those details a bit later, but just to really ground us in terms and what we're working through. And since our last convening in October, there were a number of feedback forms that we circulated within the community. One of them was around community readiness. We wanted to take a few minutes in our time together to do some report back on the input that we heard from everybody related to community readiness. You can kind of see on the slides here, I think there isn't a lot that's surprising, but it's still very important information for us to really look at and kind of dive deeper on as we map out this placemaking process, this work of the resilience capacity areas. There's general consensus on our collective goals here. Community leadership is a key part of it, and it is really central to the Puna that we know and love. Relationships and community culture, really, we hear again and again, and really us coming together is about creating space for collaboration and coordination. We've really, I think, invested really significant time and resources to make that happen. And there's more and more that we can continue to do as we move closer to project implementation. And then really highlighting the resources too. This is a quick summary. We're hoping to compile all the direct inputs to put it up on our website so everyone has a chance to see it, as well as to kind of get it out to the broader community through our listserv. More than 1,300 residents who get information from our team. And so we want to get it out there and have this be just one more input that we build with in our planning efforts. Also, since October, we launched an infrastructure feedback forum. So really taking the updates and the core projects and focus areas that county departments articulated from the October convening, we put it out there to really get from an item to item basis a pulse check of where folks are. And I'm not going to go into all the details. I think a similar approach, we want to put that out so everyone has access to the information of what we heard from you all and members of the communities that we're working with. But I think just wanted to share this overall snapshot about this core question on the proposed plans to spend federal recovery dollars. I think it's fair to say that we have perspectives from all viewpoints. And as we get into more of the specifics on a project by project basis, you'll start to see this elucidated. So as we look at the areas of investment, water, roads through the Department of Public Works and parks, we saw very strong support for initiatives like the Pohiki Road water line, water source at the boat ramp and in Kalapana. There was also support for investments proposed for Nanavale Post Office Road and in Pahoa Village. There was a broader range of support in terms of some of the investments to expand water line infrastructure in Hawaiian Paradise Park. And then there was less support and some opposition and strong opposition to the proposed investments in Ke'au, Ola'a, and some of the more technical aspects like the insertion valve and some of our system investments that were proposed. On road priorities, there was very strong agreement and consensus about restoring Pohiki Road, the alignment that we're looking at for the lower portion of the road where it connects to the Red Road, and restoration of Highway 137 and Lighthouse Road. And for parks priorities, very strong support for the work that we will be embarking together on today to guide investments and programming and management at Isaac, Kepo'okalani, Hale Beach Park. Strong support as well as opposition for some of the equipment investments that are being proposed. More opposition than support for investment in the Ke'au Armory, which is really a sheltering and programming site. Can speak to some updates later on with Director Messina. We are also at this point no longer programming funds to that, and those dollars are going back to Isaac Hale Beach Park. And mostly opposed to some of the investments slated for Curtis Town and in Shipment Park.
Thank you, Douglas. And just to reiterate, that is just a snapshot of all of the data that came through in those feedback forms. As Douglas mentions, we will be compiling a full report and sharing with you all of the comments unedited so that you can see what folks in community have shared. We'll send that out to our email list, also post to the recovery website, and highlight various aspects of the report on social media channels for Recovery and Revitalize Puna. We have accounts on both Facebook and Instagram. We had so much planned during our time together in April. We were going to be at Sure Foundation, and a whole experience was really prepared and curated for community. Because we needed to shift to this virtual convening, we had to be really mindful and intentional around the kinds of activities we were going to be convening with you. We also heard, after reflections from the last activation that was held virtually in October, that any time a form would be shared with community and there is a desire to hear your mana'o, providing ample time and space to guide you through those activities. So that's what we're doing here. Of all the things that we were going to be doing in person, there were two that we've really elevated that we wanted to spend some time working through together today via breakout rooms. The first is the development and contribution of heart and soul statements. These will help us refine the vision for recovery and resilience so that we as a collective are all rowing our va'a in the same direction. These statements will also help to inform how we do our work, what the focus of resilience capacity areas are, and when we know what is most important and why to residents, that will also help to inform our next phase of grant funding through the Puna Strong Grants and Kilauea Recovery Grants program. Our second breakout room activity is going to be around revitalization of Pohiki. As you know, we've shared more than $4.9 million is available to Parks and Recreation. Of that, $3 million has been earmarked for the revitalization of the Isaac Kipo'okalani Hale Beach Park. Rather than just thinking about what we could do to restore and really bring that community gathering space to life, we're taking a step back and really embarking on creating a holistic vision for how we help to revitalize the entire area. The breakout room session for Revitalize Pohiki will be complemented by a series of in-person engagements that will be happening throughout the month of January and February. Rather than creating events for all of you to come to, we're going to you, popping up at farmers markets that many of you frequent on a regular basis. Here is a quick sketch of that schedule. Our first pop-up will be at Pahoa Skate Park Farmers Market on Sunday, January 23rd. The convening at Isaac Kipo'okalani Hale Park on Thursday, January 27th will be very special. We will have 2 meeting locations at that park and we'll be partnering with the Hale, Ohana, and Ohana from neighboring communities in Pohoiki to help host that particular event. So mahalo Ohana for being a strong partner and stakeholder in this work. Our third in-person convening will be at the Hilo Coffee Mill Farmers Market on Saturday, February 5th. We will be hosting 1 virtual planning session via Zoom on Thursday, February 10th, and our final coming together for Revitalize Pohoiki Park planning will be on Sunday, February 13th at Moku'u Farmers Market. Feel free to take a screenshot. Again, we will also share this information on the website, via email, and on our social media channels. Okay, the fun part. I'm really, really excited to be introducing all of you to our community and county resilience capacity area co-chairs. Every single one of these individuals is a strong force of nature in their own right. You know them, they're household names in community because of the incredible work they are doing to not just build community, but to really show leadership in an aloha-driven way. So over the next 20 or so minutes, I will be introducing the various co-chairs so that they have a chance to share with you what they have been doing over the last 90 days and what their goals and visions are for 2022 and beyond. For the social resilience capacity area, community co-chairs are Smiley Burrows and Greg Armstrong, county co-chair Sharon Hirota. Please welcome Sharon Hirota providing the update for the social RCA. Sharon?
Thank you, Ashley. Aloha, everyone. Thank you for providing space for our resilience capacity area around social to share this evening. So I first want to give my utmost gratitude to both Smiley Burrows. I see her, she's in the Pahoa office. Hey, Smiley, very well known in the community, and her energy is just, she just beams with energy. It's hard to not get energized when you're in the room with her, even if it's virtual. Greg Armstrong, unfortunately, could not be here this evening, but certainly another staunch supporter of the work that we do. I also want to give, we as a group, we're social people and we meet often. So we meet every Monday morning from 8:30 to 10 via Zoom. And I'm just always impressed with with people who continue to show up and share their mana'o and share their vision as we work around our common goals, which we've identified as looking at continuing to look at opportunities to build capacity around resilience hubs, looking at emergency and disaster preparedness based on what has already been created, and how do we build capacity to have these types of preparedness plans in various communities within Puna, looking at health and well-being as well as our food systems. Next slide. So when we look at what we've done over the last few weeks as we convene, our list continues to grow, but still focus on these areas, working with our civil defense in finalizing the emergency response plan that was created by the Leilani Estates Community Association. And then we're also looking, there is interest in other communities within Puna to create one specific for their community. So we'll be hosting, or at least have plans to host how to get ready to start creating a plan in the very near future. Project 360 completed the creation of these Ohana emergency plan booklets, and we're slowly getting them out into the community. We're also looking at designing asset and vulnerability maps, looking at addressing the needs, and not only the assets, but the needs of our vulnerable community members, and really using the approach of taking care of our neighbors. Emergency prep materials we talked about for those that have short-term or long-term renters, even vacation renters in the Puna area. How do we ensure that the renters and these guests know what to do in times of disaster? And then another thing is also taking care of our animals, our livestock, as well as our pets, to make sure they're taken care of in times of disaster. And lastly, when we look around our work around resilience hubs, looking to identify existing sites and learning from them as to how we can build capacity, and certainly having some active conversations with different community organizations as to how they can become a hub within their own community. Collaborating with the economic and build to host informational workshops, leverage resources, and start mapping out locations. Health and well-being, creating Director of Health and Wellness Services. We also have the privilege of having Steve Sparks, who's the president of the Puna Community Health Center Foundation, and the work that they're doing in bringing or building capacity on health services in the Puna area. And then around food distribution, special mahalo to Smiley and Home Depot. She really went out on the limb and got thousands of packets of seeds donated to our community, and working tirelessly to get this out into the community. So in a year or 6 months from now, our areas will be blooming with flowers and fruits and trees. So we're just excited about that opportunity. So thank you for allowing us. You are all invited to join us Monday mornings, 8:30, as part of our active conversation and continuing on to develop our plans. So thank you, mahalo.
Thank you, Sharon. I also wanted to invite Smiley Burrows. Smiley, if you would also like to provide some remarks about your experience working in this space.
Can you see me, Ash?
We can see you and hear you.
I just want to say mahalo for giving me the opportunity to join in with you guys and work on all of this wonderful, wonderful things that we've been really embarking on. It's been a wonderful time to integrate all of the different areas of the community and get together every week and really put our energy towards the future for preparing ourselves with sustainability and disaster preparedness. So we're just getting started and I'm so excited to continue this effort, and thank you so much. Mahalo nui loa.
Mahalo, Smiley, Sharon, Greg, for your leadership, and to all of your action team members for their contributions. Thank you. Before I introduce the co-chairs for the Cultural Resilience Capacity Area, I did want to welcome and mahalo our state representative, Gregor Ilagan, for logging in and joining us. We really appreciate having members of the state, specifically those that represent Puna, in attendance so you can hear all of the incredible work that's happening by county and community and find ways to support us and better align as the state. So mahalo nui, Gregor, for being here. Wanted to introduce our Cultural Resilience Capacity Area co-chairs from the community, Leila Kealoha and Leah Gauker. Our county co-chair is Bob Agris. I believe the individual providing the report is Leila. Leila, you have the floor.
Mahalo, aloha everyone. So yes, I'd like to start with just thanking Bob Agris for his amazing support and guidance in this process, working with the county. He's just an amazing person. So mahalo nui, Bob, for just being there for us and helping us and listening to us and hearing us. I'd also like to thank Leah Gauker for just taking a leap and joining us as our new community co-chair. I'm super thankful to have you on here with us, and it really does help having other people support, especially Leah, in this process. And I'd also like to thank all of those that are on our Cultural Resilience Action Team. There's quite a few that join us. We were having meetings on a weekly basis up until December, like the first week of December. So I'd like to thank all of them for their hard work and their time that they've dedicated to helping us with our Cultural Resilience Capacity Area. With that being said, so the Cultural Resilience Capacity Area, our capacity to maintain and develop cultural identity and cultural knowledge and practices. We are given this opportunity through our Resilience Capacity Area to focus on Malama Wahiku Puna, placemaking or creative placemaking and culture-based education through community-based initiatives supported by county and state enforcement, deepening our understanding and connection to places, teaching residents and visitors how to respectfully interact with their island home by uplifting local knowledge and wisdom. So a brief overview of what we've been doing for the past couple months. A lot has happened, a lot's been going on. We continue to work in the area of Malama Wahiku Puna, lifting up the mo'olelo of place through development of interpretive signage and programs at Pohiki. We did spend some time trying to work with different areas along our coastline, but the main focus for us right now is to really center our focus in one space and one place, which is Pohiki and Isaac Kipo'okalangehale Beach Park and our ohana in that area. And working with 4 different resilience capacity areas: our cultural, the DPR built and economic. We are still, we still partner with the hospitality industry to expand culture-based education programs for residents and help visitors to understand, learn from, and be pono in our island home. Our efforts to convene and organize ohana who steward the Lower Puna coastline to protect the cultural and natural assets of resources has been a process. And, it's not easy to get all of our families together, but I'm so thankful to see there's lots of our families here on this Zoom this evening. Aloha and mahalo for being here. Know that your voices are being heard, and thank you so much. So also, like I mentioned, restoring the Isaac Hale Park. So we're strategically focusing on working with the county to root efforts to restore and revitalize our beach park in an awareness and understanding of the work of Ohana who have stewarded the area for generations and who continue to practice the kanawai and kapu for the area within today's context. So it's a work in progress, and I'm so thankful. We had 3 meetings with Ohana over the last month down there. Yeah, about a month. And it was very successful, and it was really nice to see families that I haven't seen in a long time come out and really share their mana'o and their ike about Pohiki and what they would like to see back in that space. So we're working on demonstrating and modeling or templating an approach. So take a deliberate and intentional approach to work with county to think through what these generational practices mean as we move forward to restore infrastructure and sustain ongoing operations and management moving forward with an eye to applying lessons learned in other community or county partnerships to malama our cultural assets and practices to strengthen our cultural resilience. So we've been able to really work with the county in this process, and it's been very nice to be heard for all of us. So mahalo to them. Let's see. So connecting also with and so partnering with the hospitality industry, we're connecting with the culture-based education programs in the county to work with these tour operators and people that are coming into our spaces and our places to really help them to become aware and to educate the visitors coming into our places, so they understand how to be their lavena, how to behave, should I say, in our spaces and our places. So that's a work in progress still as well. I think it's the next is the last one.
It's the last slide, Leila.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, sorry, I'm looking at my paper. The last thing, so really we just want to thank the county and our community and our ohana for really working on this project at Pohiki and bringing and restoring this place for us as family, as community, and that is our primary focus at the moment. We cannot expand too far out there because there's so much. We've been having meetings every week, and it's a lot to really encompass, and so that's where our focus is right now, is really being in that space. And later we'll hear about the boat ramp from the state perspective, because that is their kuleana, you know, and working together with the state and the county to really accomplish these different things that we need to have happen. So anything else that Bob or Leah wants to share, I welcome that. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Leila. Any other quick mana'o from Leah or Bob? Okay. Mahalo nui, Leila, Leah, and Bob for your continued leadership in this space. It is not easy work. It is work that we are having to undertake for many years, many decades. So thank you for your dedication and your diligence and your real focus on this. Next up, update from the Economic Resilience Capacity Area. Community co-chairs include Susie Osborne and Brent Norris. I co-chair from the county side. Mahalo nui, Susie, for providing the report for the Economic RCA.
Okay, aloha mai kako, o Susie Osborne ko Uinoa. I am the co-founder of Ho'oulu Lahui and Kuopala Charter School, as well as the president-elect for our little but mighty Pahoa Rotary Sunset Club. I just really want to thank Ashley and the county for all their incredible work and vision. You know, this is as difficult as this process has been. It's really groundbreaking to have the county take this step to engage with the community in the way that's happening. I don't think we've ever seen this before. So it's quite remarkable. And I just really want to stop and just take a moment and acknowledge that and thank them for this time together and all the opportunities for the community to engage through these capacity areas. When Ashley asked me to co-chair this komike, I have to say I was a little nervous. I'm like, oh my goodness, can I keep up with her? We know what a powerhouse she is. I'm sure glad I did. One of her first statements to me was, you know, put on your seatbelt, let's go. And so we have, and we're going. And also a shout out and thanks to Brent Norris. We meet the third Thursdays from 4 to 5:30 via Zoom. We really welcome everybody to join us. Really, the economy sort of fits into every area. It's not siloed out. So we need your input. Some of our areas are resilience hubs, technology and innovations, and industry and workforce development. Next slide, please. So we set out, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, Ashley, I know you said you were revising things and I didn't really get to look at it, but some of the things we've been doing, oh, shucks. I'm going to start with Paint the Town. This was one of our, we established 90 days goals, as I think you all understand at this point. And one might ask why or how, why is Paint the Town an economic initiative? Well, paint it and they will come. If we can refresh our town and our place and bring life and joy to it, people will come, and that will help all of the economy of our Puna community. I really want to thank Nancy Seifer. She's taken an initial great leadership role in this. She's done an amazing thing. She's researched the historical, what all the different buildings were over the last, from the 50s, around that time. And she engaged over 6 weeks with PAS students, 5 kupuna and 8 haumana, and went around and spoke to the different community members, and then created a report for us as we're looking at our next steps, which is seeing how we can engage the community in and looking at the different buildings and what refreshing they want done, whether it's just a trim job or a full paint job. It's really amazing. And then what we also want to do is put plaques on honoring what the buildings were. So for example, did you know that where Nikoko is now, it was a barber shop from 1940 to 1975? Beside, there was a tofu factory that burned down in 1954 beside Kaleo's. There's so much interesting history, and it's really good to uplift that and acknowledge that. The next steps that we're going to do is that we will be getting lots of volunteers. Ashley secured $13,000 from community in order to supply the paint and everything. So we need lots of volunteers to do this. As you heard from Leila, we engaged with the Pohiki for the Revitalize Pohiki initiative. We're collaborating with the social and built to identify resilience hubs. There's a lot of upfront work that's been done on that through Vibrant Hawaii. So we'll build upon that work with mapping. And another one is our economic development survey. We thought it would be really prudent of us to create a survey, which is what's being worked on right now, and put that out to the community at large and the businesses to see what people feel the needs are. We also have launched a digital literacy program, and it's for kupuna and mostly and others that really need some basic computer skills. We see with this era how challenging it is, especially for many of our kupuna, to be able to navigate this world. So we want that to be supported. So a free computer, classes come with that, and that's just really exciting and amazing. Next slide, please. And I'm really sorry I didn't get caught up on our slides. Well, so here we are. These are some of our goals that we identified. Identifying our North Star, paint Pahoa Town, technology and innovation, developing the survey, the resilience hubs, which is a collaboration, and Revitalize Pohiki. So next slide, please. I kind of went over all of those.
Susie, that's the final slide.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me see if I had anything else that I wanted to just sort of address. I think that's about it, because Leila really covered the meetings with Pohiki. Anything that Brent or Ashley want to contribute?
Oh, I would just echo what you said about the digital literacy program. Janice's work there as a program lead has been awesome. Noel and Jane, that program is in really great hands, and the instructors are being trained. And if anyone is interested in learning how to use a laptop, this is the program you want to get involved in. Thank you.
Mahalo, Brent. And I just want to really finalize with reiterating our desire that this is a kako thing. This is for our community. We need and welcome everybody's voice. So please engage if you can. And we're really looking, we really want to do meaningful, deep, impactful work for the long-term recovery and getting to a place of thriving for our community. So these are small little action steps to give us some wins and to, you know, get things moving. But engage with us, please. There's a lot of work to do, and it will be joyful, and everybody will be uplifted, because what we want to do is ho'oululahui, uplift our community. So mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Susie. It is a pleasure to work with you and Brent and the diverse set of community members on these various initiatives. It really is a privilege, and I just am very excited about all of the work that we've catalyzed. And what I found, you know, at the end of the day, we have a really impressive, unique and creative community. All folks really needed as a chance and resources to make things happen, which is why this convening through Revitalize Puna and the capacity areas is really making all that difference. So mahalo nui. Our next capacity area, built environment, co-chaired by community member Antiku'ule Cooper. Our county co-chair is Garrett Smith. Garrett, invite you to provide the update for this built RTA.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, co-chair. Welcome everybody this evening, and I appreciate, want to express appreciation to all the built environment team members. We've had some fabulous discussion over the last couple months, ranging from the whole gamut of issues, whether it be infrastructure to projects to funding, trying to get involvement with the state level as well. So I really do appreciate everyone's involvement, and just make a little plug. If you have interest in this area, please let us know. We'd love to broaden the discussion and reach for potential projects that we can both leverage community and county support on. I guess in the interest of time, I'm going to sort of go through relatively quickly. The slide you see before you, again, identifies when we meet. We've been generally meeting the second Wednesday of the month. Caveat here, we did cancel this week's meeting in preparation of tonight, but we will be reconvening shortly for some additional project movement forward. As far as our overall vision, again, we've been trying to look at a number of things that are associated with built or lack of building as well. And that involves, you know, as it says, you know, connectivity, infrastructure, looking at housing options and so forth. Would you please go to the next slide? This is a snapshot you probably have previously seen from the prior engagements. And I wanted to sort of bring attention to this. You've heard it from some of the other co-chairs as well. A lot of the work we do really does overlap. You know, there's, for example, the Resilience Hub. It's been an interest of various community members, various RCAs. So again, we each have our own role of how we want to help move that project forward. So again, this is just sort of an overview of at least the latter three bullets. Some of the different projects that are sort of co-sponsored by different RCAs. For example, the Pahoa town, that's going to be getting the repainting effort is going to be getting underway shortly. We're going to be contributing to that as best we can. The Isaac Hale Beach Park effort, we'll be touching upon that later on this evening. And then the Resilience Hubs is still ongoing work. I did want to spend a little bit of time on the Pahoa Village Master Plan. So I'll jump to the next slide. Thank you. What you see before you is just a quick snapshot from the community development plan for the Puna area. There are some different areas that are highlighted as being commercial or residential, rural. The Pahoa Regional Town Center has been identified as one of those key areas that really is a core to that general vicinity. So the reason why we're highlighting it is in the past couple of years, the county planning department has attempted to move forward a master planning process, and it's gotten sidetracked a little bit due to some prior eruption events. So we are making another run for it. The Built Environment RCA really is trying to position itself as almost a subcommittee to the Puna CDP Action Committee. So we've reviewed and provided feedback on the draft scope of service for getting that master plan underway. And that's what we really want to push forward within the next few months and into this next year is getting a consultant on board to assist with this effort. And at this current time, we anticipate that that master plan process probably will be about an 18 to 24 month process, and really trying to tie in investment and land use into something that's really usable on the ground to see development managed thoughtfully as we move forward. Lastly, again, I just want to make a quick plug for what our general purpose is. If people want to get involved, again, it's the overall realm of what we look at as, land use and development patterns. People have a concern or interest in development construction, as well as infrastructure and investment. So again, if you have an interest, let us know, please. Also, I open up to my co-chair if there's any words you want to share, or any words of wisdom that you see from your side as far as a community member in this venue that we've been managing over the last couple months.
Mahalo, Garrett, and aloha mai kako. Happy New Year, all. And I would like to also thank everyone for giving us the honor to be able to discuss all of our moving forward after the historic eruption. I also want to thank and acknowledge the state of Hawaii and Uncle Bob, who is with us this evening, for helping us move forward from the state and county level, which is a really great luxury that we certainly enjoy. In our specific committee, we've had very, very good productive discussion, not always easy. And again, thank you all for putting up with sometimes my verve and pointed questions, which I believe we all understand moving forward. We must bring to the forefront what is of concern of our community. And I hope that I can provide a voice in that respect. I also would like everyone to know that on the state level, as we come upon a new day and a new legislative session, I look forward to the county and state working together with our community to provide peaceful, respectful enjoyment of our new coastline. And given that the FEMA timeframe is upon us, and the focus has been immediately shifted to Pohiki, given the funding that is forthcoming, in the short term, that is what we must deal with and shall deal with today. The Ohana has, and thankfully, to our Ohana and Pohiki, of which I stand with shoulder to shoulder, for setting the foundation and the intentions to revitalize and make sure that our community has somewhere to enjoy peacefully, respectfully moving forward. Given the roads that are going to be recovered, thank you, Public Works, for working diligently and tirelessly, I'm certain, with FEMA. Pohiki Road and Highway 137 will provide access to our whole new shoreline and also give us a lot of opportunity if we do it together and we do it right. We take care of our Pahoa town, which needs a really new revitalization, no question. And in that light is the gateway to our lower Puna in this new day. I trust the state and county will see our plight as we recover not only from the eruption, but now from COVID, economically, socially. And I trust that we all collectively can put into effect all of our good work. And I appreciate and am humbled by being a part of this effort. And I really hope that we all stay safe, continue to work in the long term for our generations to come, as my papa said. And I thank you kindly for allowing me to be part of this. Mahalo nui, and Akua bless us all. Thank you.
Mahalo nui, Auntie. You are always so poetic. And we really appreciate your strong leadership and advocacy for community throughout this process. So thank you, Auntie and Garrett, for leading the Built RCA. Wanted to introduce the Natural Environment Resilience Capacity area. Community co-chair is Franny Brewer. County co-chair is Bethany Morrison, Michelle Agbige. Ladies, take it away.
Hi, yeah, I'm Franny Brewer, and thank you for giving us a chance to discuss the natural environment of Puna, which maybe sort of fades out of people's view. It's always there on the sidelines, but it's just so important for our health and well-being that we have a healthy natural environment around us. So we've been, I guess we can go to the first slide. I might jump around a little bit here. Sorry if I don't go by the bullet points, but things overlap, so they're not exactly in one category. But we got off to sort of an unsure, uncertain start. We weren't really sure where we were going with it. And so we finally started to pick up some traction. So what we really are looking for going forward is for folks to volunteer. And we don't have as many people on our committee, but I'm thinking that now that we have some projects identified that we want to work on, if folks are looking to get involved, there might be a specific project that really appeals to you. So as I go through this, think about, oh, that sounds like something I would like to do. The first piece, basically just building out networks, supporting the Big Island safe drinks study, drinking water, and sort of just in general, we were really trying to identify what kind of projects are out here that work on aspects of the natural environment. The BID study is more of an example of the kind of projects that are sort of creative and interesting and innovative that we think could really help Puna in the long run. That's a study being done by Hilo, looking at drinking water, everything from catchment to municipal to wells, and looking at all different aspects of water and how water systems could be improved and what the needs are. And right now it's just a little pilot study, and they're hoping that the results of the study will help them get this much bigger National Science Foundation grant. And I, spoke with those researchers and said, hey, we would like to put the energy of these resilience community groups behind that, because I think that that's something that Puna could really use. And looking towards the future, when the results of that study come out, how do we disseminate that information? So think just projects like that, really trying to find those things and find ways that we can tie that in and put the support of our resilience folks behind that. So that's one. One of the bigger things that we really, certainly with my role at BISC and just in general with looking at resilience in Puna, there's a lot of still continue to be, even post Isel, a lot of issues with albizia in Puna. And there have been some attempts to resolve some of these issues, but things don't always work out exactly the way you want them to. One of the common issues that we have is people being unable to afford to treat albizia on private property. So either they themselves have albizia on their property that they need to remove, or their landlord does, or there's one next door that's on private property that unfortunately nobody will take down, the owner won't respond, that sort of thing. And although I can really supply the information about albizia, what I'm really hoping for is there are folks there. I've already spoken with Susie at Economic Development, and we've kind of talked about maybe some overlap between finding a way to get funding for folks who need to take down these hazardous trees that are hanging in their houses that cannot be treated. So if people have background in sort of setting up funding for people in need, anybody who's worked on sort of the ERAP program or something like that, would really love to talk to you. So I would love to hear from folks who might have some experience with that. Also with albizia, we'll be running BISC will be running an education program with Susie Osborne and her nonprofit down in Nanavale. So we're looking to educate people on that. So that'll be something a project that'll be coming up over the next year. And just some general things with trying to complete the mitigation of albizia along major arteries in Puna, for instance, Kahakai. We'd like to try and secure funding to be able to complete the removal of the albizia along Kahakai. That's not planned currently. There's no money coming for that. And we think that it's really important that those major arteries, many of which were identified in the mitigation plan in 2016, those have been taken care of, but there's still a lot of albizia out there on major arteries that if we get hit with another big storm like that, could be really dangerous. So we're still really focused on that. Some more fun stuff rather than just scary trees. We talked about it having a demonstration project, someplace really accessible, like hopefully around Pahoa or some places that people can really get to, that can show how you can use native plants in your own backyard, gardening, landscaping, like really well done. We have some folks already that I've been working with who are professional landscapers who specialize in native plants. And so we're pulling the information from them, but certainly anyone who's done a lot of native plant landscaping or gardening, not necessarily restoration, but just have you been able to use native plants on your property well and creatively. We'd love to start looking for a space somewhere around Pahoa that could be landscaped so that people would really be able to see that you don't have to necessarily use definitely you don't want to use invasive plants, but that there's a possibility to incorporate natives as well into your landscaping. So that's an effort. And let's see. Also, we want to support things that are already going on. There are volunteer opportunities. That was one of the things that we were going to talk about if we were in person. But there is a volunteer opportunity that happens quarterly right across from Black Sands off the highway at Keauhana Forest, run by Hawaii Environmental Restoration. And anybody can sign up for a work day there, and you actually get to work in a native forest that Jaya Dupuy and Am Kodsa have been working to restore. So I'm going to put the link for that in the chat. So if anybody's really interested in doing that, it's a wonderful project. It's a great day. You just walk out feeling really good, and you get to meet some really cool native plants, including some endangered ones. So that's wonderful. And let's see, the last thing on the slide, we have some citric acid vouchers that are available at Ashley's office. So if folks are interested in trying to get those koki frogs around your house quieted down, you can go ahead and contact Ashley's office and pick some of that up. And then finally, I'm going to put in, it's not on the slide, but I'm going to put a link in the chat to an ohia seed saving workshop that's happening this Saturday. It's virtual, it's totally online. It will teach you how to save seeds from ohia trees. And research shows that younger ohia trees tend to be really resistant to rapid ohia death. So if you've lost ohia and you want to kind of try and replant, this would be a really great opportunity to learn how to do that, collecting seeds yourself. And I think that kind of wraps it up. Bethany or Michelle, would you want to jump in?
No, you did a great job, Franny. Thank you.
Sure.
Mahalo nui, ladies, for all of your hard work in lifting up this capacity area and for the great projects that you are kicking off. Again, there's so much that is happening driven by community in partnership with county. So if there is something that really draws you in, go ahead and sign up via the form in the chat. Finally, last but not least, do want to introduce our Youth Resilience Capacity Area team. Community co-chairs also serve as our Lead for America Fellows, U'ilani Kuali'i and Hokulani Fortunato, with support from our county co-chair, Misty Carter. Hoku, if you could give the update for your RCA. Mahalo.
Okay. Mahalo, Ashley. Aloha, iahi kākou, o Hokulani Fortunato Ko'uinoa, and I'm one of the county co-chairs for the Youth Resilience Capacity Area. Our guiding vision for the OPO and our RCA is to promote a more meaningful affiliation with their aina, their environment. We'll also encourage connections to ignite community-changing alliances through multi-sector teamwork. We'll also strive to ensure that our OPO feel empowered to embrace their self-identity by helping them understand who they are and how they can make an impact in the Puna community. During this next 90-day activation period, the Youth RCA team will be assigning action team roles to youth members and selecting a member to assume the responsibility of the community co-chair. We'll also be implementing OPO or youth into each of the other RCAs to allow further collaboration and project ideation that fall in line with their passions. We have plans to work alongside several Puna Strong grantees, such as volunteer agricultural work with Pohahai Kalani and attending workshops hosted by Lawa'e Ke Kahuna from Omaku'u Ke Kahua. Another big project we started coordinating entails the revitalization of mo'olelo, or stories, based in Puna. We've been meeting with UH Hilo professors Dr. Michael Bitters and Dr. Kerry Inglis, as well as Smithsonian's Kaleva Correa. The hope is to spotlight the valuable lessons that these mo'olelo hold and utilize it as grounding for our opio to the place they live and call home. So if these are projects and opportunities that interest you, or if you know any opio aged 14 to 23 who would love to step into leadership roles, please feel free to reach out via Zoom chat. Mahalo nui.
Thank you, Hoku. Ui, would you like to add anything else?
Well said, Hoku. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo. It is such a pleasure to have both of you at the county and for your leadership in this space. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of your efforts. Okay. I don't know about you, but I'm really overwhelmed and just so proud of all of the incredible work that everybody is lifting up. Thank you for always showing up, having a really positive attitude. And instead of focusing on what we don't have and what we can't do, you are really finding ways to elevate the assets we have in Puna and find ways that we can do things based on what we have and our resourcefulness. So thanks. If you would like to join any of these resilience capacity area action teams, you can do that via the bit.ly link that is being dropped into the chat. Across all of our capacity areas, we do have Kuleana that we will be working on collectively. Again, it aligns with the Role Placemaking Innovation Challenge Cooperative Agreement that Douglas mentioned earlier, our agreement and grant funding with the USDA, some of the deliverables that we owe to them, which would also help to build capacity and strengthen our community, include establishing really clear resilience visions across capacity areas. We are using the logic model framework, which is something that state, federal, and philanthropic groups are using to understand what is it that folks want to do, and are they able to articulate the steps and identify resources and individuals that are needed to make those things happen. So that is a really great exercise we are going to be moving through with our community. The second group, a collective goal, is to finalize our asset and vulnerability map framework. This tool would be used to support all of the actions across capacity areas, and in times of disaster, we can leverage this to support our neighbors and call on those who have resources to help in emergency time. And finally, over the next few months, we'll be working to bring our heart and soul statements to life. With that, Douglas is going to turn it over to you to ground everyone in our breakout room activity.
Yeah, mahalo, Ashley. So to mix it up, we're about to transition into a breakout. These heart and soul statements are really a process around collecting ideas, inspirations, and kind of having those inspirations, how we feel about our community, why our communities matter to us, as a way to be the building blocks of all of the more technical aspects of what we're developing here, from our logic model, which Ashley mentioned, to really refining and reflecting upon our vision and objectives for recovery, which were established in the planning process. We're living and breathing it day to day now. So we want to use those as opportunities, and also as we look at the future and building stronger resilience, heart and soul statements as one process to collect ideas and thoughts about what this could look like. So as a next step, our larger collective together are going to be reassigned into breakout rooms. Our co-chairs have volunteered to lead us through the process of developing heart and soul statements. We really want to take time to do it together, but we also invite people to take their own time and to think about it, reflect, and contribute more information. We're going to be kind of switching and going onto an online platform. And we know that might be a little complex for folks right now. If you're on an iPad or on a phone, just know that we want to at least orient you to what this process is and what it looks like. And there will be time after today's meeting to continue to contribute. So with that, I think Zoe's going to manage the breakout assignments.
Aloha, Mayor Roth. I'm going to take this quiet moment to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
lovely to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for all of your efforts. And I trust you're going to stay well.
I'm trying to stay well. That is the goal for this year, my New Year's resolution.
Very good.
Thanks, Kule. Good to see you.
Thank you. At this time, I hope you all enjoyed that exercise. We will again share the link to the Padlet in the chat. It was so fun to see everyone's contributions in real time. Feel free to like the comments. Feel free to also add a comment to the various statements that are added to this board. We'll have it open up in perpetuity. So anytime you need real inspiration about what is really amazing about your community, go there. And so we are again counting on all of you to submit your statements. So please do that when you have some time. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our planning director, Zendo Kern, who is going to be facilitating the next part of our activation experience. And those are updates from county leadership and state partners. Director Kern.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Kirkowitz. Just want to reflect real quick on the Heart and Soul breakout. That was actually more emotional than I had anticipated. So thanks for that. What I'd like to do is, so we're doing an update from various departments, as well as the recovery program. We're taking about 5 minutes for each person to give the update, and then we'll move into Q&A. We're going to start with the first update on recovery dollars spent to date and the housing buyout program. Douglas Lay will be giving us the update on that. I will turn the floor over to Douglas.
Thank you, Zendo. You know, our colleagues from other departments are going to be covering a lot of the very critical information that we all want to know today regarding infrastructure and investment, both in the county and our partners here at the state. You know, in my time, I want to cover a couple of related aspects of our work. One being just an update on the voluntary housing buyout program. It is one facet of the work that we do. For those of you who may know, we launched the program in April with the first phase for primary homes. And then we reopened the second phase for second homes and also primary homes who would also want to apply back in November. So we're right now kind of in the third month of this application phase. To date, we have 295 active primary home applications. We have just crossed an important threshold around an accepted offer from an applicant. And so I think excited for that applicant and that family, and as we continue to work through to be able to move our applicants forward in this process. And in terms of phase 2 applications, we are at 157 applications that are second homes. Some more primary homes came in this time around, but of the 157, we have started intake and initial interviews with those applicants to look at their application and understand what next steps are. With their situation. We will be closing this current application phase on January 31st. And our next application phase, our third and final one, will be in May of 2022. May of 2022, that's right. Essentially, at that point, not only folks who may be eligible under phases 1 and 2, primary and second homes, but also those who own undeveloped properties may start to apply. And so, we're excited to really be able to round the corner of this month to understand kind of who's applied full picture for phases 1 and 2. And we'll be providing updates to that effect at that point in time. We've already received 85 registrations, just people identifying their interest to apply for phase 3. That's for undeveloped properties. I think we spent a lot of time today talking about all the information that we're trying to share, but also information and knowledge that we're trying to bring into our work. The website is a big part of it. A lot of credit to Tom Callis, who maintains that for us on the team. We are looking to and have continued to revamp areas of it. So if you see things changing, welcome feedback on it as well. So we've really worked to reorganize some of the information that we'll be talking about today regarding infrastructure investment on our website, in particular to the funding. Similar to an update we provided at County Council a few months back, we want to kind of revamp the information we're presenting and really look at kind of point in time information, grants and funds received, grants and funds spent, dollars encumbered but not spent, and then remaining balances across the different sources from some of the state funds, which have been really critical to our work, from the state legislature and governor's office, and also the federal funding that's assisting from HUD on the Buyout program and across the infrastructure projects as well. So please stay tuned on that. We're going to revamp this week to be one more source of information and to really provide probably at a quarterly basis. We'll try to keep it updated for the spread of the funds for everyone to be aware. And the last update I'll speak to is, we've been able to launch the Puna Strong program, grant making in conjunction with Hawaii Community Foundation as a partner to the county, and also last year launched the Kilauea Recovery Grants Program. Just want to acknowledge the really important work the Puna Strong grantees have been doing. We've closed out several Kilauea Recovery Grants already. Super proud about all the work that folks are doing on that front at Kuokola and Nilani Estates to make permanent repairs to the roads, a number of other smaller projects. We are kind of looking at relaunching these grant sources in this calendar year, so in 2022. Some of the efforts that has been spoken to today, from the economic development surveying that is being shaped to even the heart and soul statements to inform what that looks like. Please stay tuned on those opportunities. And, we will be getting the word out once application or more information is available. But that is kind of next on our horizon to continue to support recovery and long-term resilience in our communities in Puna.
Excellent. Thank you, Douglas. And we'll please hold your questions, and we will be doing Q&A after we do all the updates. And it'd be best if you're going to do it in the chat, probably wait till the end so we can keep track of those. We will move on to road infrastructure. Ikaika Rodenhurst with Department of Public Works. Turn the floor over to you.
Right, mahalo Zendo, and mahalo Councilman Kirkowitz for getting this together, and mahalo everyone for attending. It's important to know what's going on in your community and in our community in Puna, and I really do appreciate this opportunity to provide the updates that we do have. As presented in this slide, we have made the commitment to restore portions of Highway 137, of Lighthouse Road, and Pohiki Road, including a lower portion realignment that I'll get into in just a minute. And we have on our list of alternate projects the Post Office Road in Pahoa. We will provide updates to the estimated timelines that are on the recovery website. They're not available at this time. We are working with HAIMA and FEMA to progress together through this EA process, and we will be providing updates to those estimated timelines as soon as possible. If we can move on to the lower portion realignment. So here is the Mauka section of Lower Pohiki. Just for clarification, there are two major portions of Pohiki that we are working on for recovery. The upper portion, which is inundated with lava, that won't be covered in these slides today. This is for the lower realigned portion. We're realigning the lower portion of Pohiki to make improvements to the safety of the road. There are some dangerous curves that exist that have contributed to some of the accidents in the past, and we are making our efforts to realign that road to make it safer, as well as provide a pathway for a water line down to Pohiki Park. We have options in the Mauka and Makai sections of this lower Pohiki realignment that give us some flexibility as we go through this EA process. As the EA process progresses, we may encounter some obstacles or roadblocks that would require us to be flexible and change our alignment. And so we want to prepare for that and not waste any time. So we have our options here for what we would like to do, and then some alternatives in case there are any issues that arise during that EA. So moving forward on this Mauka portion of the lower Pohiki, we have option A and option B. Option A, which is the next slide, is our DPW's current recommendation. This one will not impact any of the exceptional mango trees that exist along Pohiki. There are approximately 25 mango trees that are identified in this realignment that are outside the current county right-of-way that could be impacted and affected by this, and 17 properties that would be impacted by this realignment. This realignment, as I said previously, does improve the safety of the road, which is our main goal for this realignment. The next one after this would be the option B for Mauka. And this one has, again, no impact to the exceptional mango trees that are protected by ordinance. It does impact 8 mango trees outside of those exceptional mango trees and 10 properties. There is going to be still improvements to safety with this alignment, and that is our alternative to our option A at this time for the Mauka section. Both these sections do improve the safety of this road on the Mauka portion of Lower Pohiki. Moving on to our Makai alignments, we have 3 options on the Makai section of Lower Pohiki. Currently, our current recommendation is for 1. As you can see on this, we have option 1 keeps it close to the existing alignment of Lower Pohiki. Option 2 takes us a little bit further away and creates another intersection, and option 3 takes us even further away. Again, these options were created to give us some flexibility, and all these options included here have no impact to the protected exceptional mango trees of Pohiki Road. Moving on to option 1 in this slide presentation. As I stated, no exceptional mango trees will be affected. There are identified 7 mango trees that could be affected by this realignment. 1 property would be affected, and there are minimum safety concerns for this alignment. This takes us into the existing intersection of Highway 137 and Pohiki Road and provides access down to Isaac Hawley Beach Park. And this is our current recommendation through DPW as what we would like to proceed with. Obviously, the EA has to be completed before we finalize those plans. Moving on to option 2. Again, no exceptional mango trees would be affected by this. There are identified 3 mango trees that would be affected outside of the existing county right-of-way. This does create an additional intersection, as mentioned, and would create the need to cut down additional trees along Highway 137. As far as what kind of trees those are, those would be identified in the EA process, and this option would create a concern for some safety when creating a new intersection, and it could be, well, it would be clarified in that EA process if this were to be an option and we were to get a exact survey of the area that would give us clarity as far as site distances and concerns for curvatures of the road, any kind of bad corners or tight turns on that road. And those are things that we would have to keep in mind when putting this together. This is option 2. So the next option would be option 3. This option 3 takes us further south from the intersection of 137 and Pohiki. No mango trees of the exceptional type are going to be affected. No mango trees would be affected by this, and 1 property would be affected by this alignment. Again, there would be concerns for the new intersection down there and any kind of road improvements that will be necessary for dips and curves. Again, these are, options for what we can possibly see depending on how the EA turns out through that process, and we are engaging with HAIMA and FEMA through this. Those are our options for Lower Makai Pohiki. We do anticipate that we'll be collaborating the entire way with FEMA and HAIMA through this process, and know any kind of issues that arise or may arise through this, and we're working with them along the way. One of the good things about this is once this realignment is completed, we are looking at the possibility of repurposing the existing Lower Pohiki Road to be a pedestrian or bike path, and we will work with other departments to see how that will be done moving forward after the realignment. That's all I have for Lower Pohiki. And for our update today, we can go into the Q&A a little later. I know there have been some concerns regarding Kamaili and Red Road. As always, you can contact DPW if there are safety concerns for trees, for roadway conditions, striping, and signs, you can contact our divisions through our online website or through calling us at our DPW office, 961-8321, and happy to get into some of those questions later on. Other than that, that concludes our update for DPW. Mahalo.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kaika. We will now move on to water infrastructure with the Department of Water Supply. We have Keith Okamoto, the Manager Chief Engineer, joined by Kavika Uehara, his deputy, and Kurt Inaba, the other Chief Engineer in there. Thank you, guys. I'll turn it over to you, Keith.
Right, mahalo, Zendo. Mahalo to everybody who was involved with putting together this event. Quite impressive with everything that went on. So kudos to everybody involved. As you can see on the screen, we have a total of 14 projects, I believe. But the top 8 that we're prioritizing is shown on the screen. Total amount, some amount of these projects add up to a little bit over what FEMA has authorized us as far as funding availability. So we remain hopeful that we'll see good bids moving forward. But there's a likelihood that we won't be able to do them all. As Ikaika mentioned, we will be coordinating with Public Works on the alignment for Pohiki Road water line replacement. Basically, the water line will follow the roadway. It will be installed within the road right-of-way, as well as the addition of the water line to Pahoa vacation land area along Highway 137. So basically standard water line installation for the majority of those 2 projects, which is a buried water line within the road right away, as mentioned. We will probably need to get creative on Upper Pohiki Road and see how we can get that water line installed in a way that will allow DPW to do what they need to do with their road and access points, but as far as the water line, install it in a way such that the temperature, subsurface temperatures, or even the ambient temperature coming up from the ground can be somewhat mitigated so that we don't melt our gaskets. So moving down the line, I do want to spend a little bit time on number 3, Keao wells and a reservoir. I know there's some concern about money being spent in the Keao region. The reasons why we're pursuing this project and it's a priority for us is that we actually lost 2 well sources because they were constructed with by not following current well construction standards. Long story short, what that means is without a properly cased well, there are potentials for subsurface contamination of our groundwater supply, and none of us want that. So we have discontinued use of 2 wells. So this project will help us recover that lost capacity. And not many people know, but we have a water line running all the way down Pahoa Road. So these wells also provide backup to Pahoa Town and the areas that are wells in Pahoa service. So it'll provide water not only to Keao and Curtis Town, but this project can also provide water to HPP, Nanavale, Pahoa Town, and the real reasons for our projects revolve around restoration, resiliency, redundancy, and creating regional opportunities for either economic or housing opportunities. Kalapana waterline remediation, that's to address a long overdue leaking water pipe from the lava flow in the 80s. So anyway, so here are our projects. Nanavale, happy to say since our last Revitalize Puna event, we were able to meet with several of the community organizations, receive their input, Nanavale being one of them. So we have, my apologies, I think we're working on trying to get these 2 options on a platform where the residents in Nanavale can kind of weigh in on which option they prefer. But basically creating a improved looped waterline system within Nanavale, again, for remediation, for resiliency, as well as redundancy in that community. Similarly for HPP, Hawaiian Paradise Park waterline improvements, where we've met with them and are also evaluating suggestion that some of them came up with to extend waterline to the community center. We're running the numbers and checking the hydraulics and the engineering behind that right now as we speak. Pahoa Village waterline improvements. I know there's a great need in Pahoa, economic hub of the area, as well as just kind of like the center of the area. So we have a water line in Old Pahoa Road that is about due for replacement. So that's what that project is about, as well as providing opportunities for improved fire protection in the area. Similar for Post Office Road. So that's our main priority projects for water supply. And if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, these are secondary should there be some small miracle that there's still funding available. We could pursue some of these. But I'm not real hopeful in that regards, but we'll keep them on just in case, right? We want to overprescribe instead of under when we're dealing with federal funds. We would not want to leave money left on the table. And I think the next slide will just show you overall graphically of our proposed projects. And I think the recovery team also has done a good job of updating it on the county recovery website. If you don't have the opportunity to screenshot it here, it's readily available on the recovery website. And we look forward to working on these projects and continued working with the community and our county partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Just want to throw that out there too, because I get a unique opportunity to kind of be in the middle of all these, and the collaboration that's been occurring between DPW, DWS, the recovery team, as well as parks, obviously, has just been paramount. It's been amazing to work through these issues and try to find creative solutions. And just want to say thank you guys very much. Okay, now we will move over to Parks Infrastructure, and I will turn it over to Mo Messina. The floor is yours. And if you're speaking, I'm not hearing you.
I usually forget to mute the other way. That's great.
There you go. Okay, well.
So I also have tonight with me Michelle Hiraishi, who's our Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation as well. So I'd like to start off by thanking the Ohana and everyone who visited with us down at Isaac Holly in December. Heard a lot of great stories, learned a lot about the families down there, and so really appreciative of that opportunity. And with the dates that Ashley showed on the screen as we were beginning at all the different farmers markets, Michelle and I will both be at all of these as we look to reimagine Isaac Holly and get all the ideas from the folks as we put together everything that we feel that the community wants down there. And I'd also like to give another thanks to Water Supply and DPW for working to get the water line replacement down at Isaac Holly. That's going to be a very big deal for us. That means we can get rid of the portable toilets. We can turn the showers back on, get our bathrooms working again. So that is a big positive for us. Okay, so there have been questions about the amount of money that was provided to us from FEMA. Our initial estimates for a total replacement of Ahalanui and Isaac Holly, including lava removal, came out to around $1 billion. And that's where we started working our way down. When we started looking at what was actually lost at both places, when we tried to do a bare bones, what we submitted to FEMA was Ahalanui about 21 million and Isaac Holly about 15 million, 15.8 million. By the time all the negotiations and the numerous iterations that we had for our estimates, FEMA finally approved us right around $5 million for both parks. Next slide, please. So this is the area that we're talking about. Down at the bottom third of the page, you can see where the boat ramp is. Right above that is where the parking lot is, where we have our ADA parking stalls and a very small pavilion. Over to the left, where the red dot is, where it says Park Site County, that is where the bathrooms are, and that's also where the boat and truck trailer parking is, and also the small area that wasn't taken completely for the barbecue pits and the camping area. In the top left section, you'll see another county-owned area which belongs to the park as well, and that is for recreational purposes. That is about a 4-acre spot of land there that we feel would be good for some new development. So just wanted to start talking about the areas that we have available. So when we have the talk story sessions, everyone knows what we're dealing with. Next slide, please. Here's our budget breakdown. We plan right now to put $3 million at the park, $1.7 million for equipment to take care of the parks, and $200,000 for other Puna parks, and we'll get into those in the next slides. I'll go over a couple of pieces of equipment. For instance, the third down on the list, the rubbish truck. We do not have a rubbish truck for the entire Puna district. We need this to service our parks. Right now, our staff are required to make numerous trips in their mid and full-size pickup trucks daily to transport trash and rubbish and haul away abandoned property at these parks. If we're talking about a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, or a Monday morning, we're talking one park. Our guys may have to make 5 or 6 trips back and forth to that park in their vehicles just to get rid of the rubbish. So when we utilize these standard work trucks to haul large volumes of trash, it's inefficient for our staff, not only for the multiple trips required to cross long distances, for instance, like at Isaac Holly, but affects our ability to perform other essential maintenance duties, like if we're getting ready for a big event at one of our parks on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. The dump trucks, right now we have, I believe we have 4 operational, well, we have a fleet of 4 right now, and most of them are in disrepair. For instance, we have numerous beach parks right now that when rubbish comes up on the beach parks, we cannot haul that rubbish away. We also use excavators for the different county parks, flatbed trucks, heavy duty trailers, the backhoe. This is all important for our Puna parks. We have a very small staff at Puna, and they need the equipment to take care of their parks. Next slide, please. Curtistown Park. So the resurfacing of the tennis courts, these are the only tennis courts, public tennis courts in all of Puna. Right now, the surfacing is breaking up. We're seeing a large influx, especially from our senior population doing pickleball. We were able to get the lights working again at night, but it's actually not 100% safe out there at night because of the cracks and stuff. So we're doing our best to patch it, but a resurfacing of the only public tennis court in all of Puna is a priority of ours. Curtistown Park, right now, we have 2 benches out there that the kids have to sit in the sun and in the rain. In the second quarter of this year, we're going to begin our work on the Pahoa District Park ballpark fields, the ones that were used during the sheltering of our citizens. During that sheltering, we had a lot of people, there were needles, there were gouges in the fields, big indentations. So we received FEMA funding to fix those. Once we do that, we're going to shut down all of those. And so we need to provide other baseball parks, softball parks for all of Puna who needs to be using that. And so Curtistown Park, if we create those 2 covered cages, we'll also be able to put ADA walkways in there as well. Next slide, please. Oh, so that's it for me. Thank you for your time. I look forward to your questions. Aloha.
Thank you, Grace. Appreciate the update and all the information. Okay, now we are moving on to an update from a, this isn't exactly lava recovery, but I do think it's very important for our community and the work that's being done out there. I'd like to turn the floor over to our Mass Transit Administrator, John Ondo, for a public transportation update related to the Pahoa Bus Hub.
Top of the evening and aloha to everybody. John Ando, Mass Transit Administrator for the Mass Transit Agency. Just really quickly, Zendo, do I have slides attached to this, or is this the only slide?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that question. Someone else is controlling the back end of this. Is that Zoe?
John, this is your only slide.
Okay, thank you.
Your only slide, John.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll upload your slide deck and share it with folks via our website and on social media. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, thank you. So the Mass Transit Agency, we provide the island-wide public transportation system that is known as Helion. In front of you is our new branding that we're going to start putting on all of the buses, bus stop signs, and all of our marketing materials to give a fresh look to public transit on this island. As part of this family of services we provide, we offer fixed route bus service, paratransit services for those that have disabilities that cannot ride regular fixed route transit. We have partnerships with Hawaii County Economic Opportunities Council to provide specialized demand response services that's basically door to door for seniors, persons with disabilities, and low income residents that don't live near a Helion bus. We fund the High Bike system, which is the bike share system that is available in Kona or Kailua Kona and in Hilo. And then we also operate the shared ride taxi program, where we subsidize rides up to 9 miles within the Hilo urbanized area. We're also responsible for regulating taxi cabs island-wide. Back on September 5th, we launched a new transit network as part of the Transit and Multimodal Transportation Master Plan that was adopted in 2018. And as part of that new transportation network we're providing, we've doubled the service that's provided in the Puna district. We now have buses that run 7 days a week. You have a Route 40 that provides hourly service 7 days a week between Kumukahi Shopping Center and the Mo'oheau bus terminal in downtown Hilo. We have circulator buses that operate within the Puna district throughout the subdivisions, 401, particularly serving Hawaiian Beaches, Nanavali, Leilani Estates, Seaview Estates, 402, which is primarily servicing Hawaiian Paradise Park, Orchid Land, Keau, and Analoa, as well as Hawaiian Acres. 403, which services Fern Acres, Fern Forest, Eden Rock, Keau, Shipman Business Park, and the zoo. And all of these routes meet at hubs that we have designated within the district. We have an interim hub at the Kumukahi Shopping Center. And then we also have an interim hub in Keau across the street from Long's. So you can make timed connections to these routes. The goal of the hub and spoke system is to make transit faster, more accessible to the community, and more streamlined. So we hope that you take advantage of our new network that we have in play. I'm always open to hearing feedback on how we can make transit better. And this, a lot of these changes are in accordance with the Puna Community Development Plan that was also prepared back in the early 2000s. Starting hopefully in March, pending County Council approval, it is our intent to go fare free on the Helion system. That includes fixed route bus and paratransit. This is a way to introduce people to the new transit network, as well as restore ridership, connect people to opportunity, and help make public transit an economic driver for not only the Puna district, but for the entire island as a whole. We are going through the process right now. The council have had their first reading and we're awaiting 2 more readings. And should this occur, we're looking at an implementation date of March. So hopefully that will entice people to take advantage of our new public transit system. As I'm showing on the screen, we have our new Helion logo, and we're going to start undertaking the rebranding of the transit system. You may have seen blue buses, green buses, goldenrod buses, buses that with flowers that have come from Maui. And it's our goal to have one consistent paint scheme that would match basically our island color as well as our island flower, the lehua. And hopefully starting later on this year, you'll start to see our new paint scheme roll out on our entire fleet. You're able to see a picture of what the bus looks like on our website at helionbus.org, as well as on our social media pages. As it relates to technology, we have expanded the use of technology. We now have a trip planner through Move It, where you can actually plan how to use public transit by basically putting in where you live, where you're trying to get to, and it'll tell you what bus routes you would need to take, the cost, and how long it would take you. Actually, later on this week, we'll also be in Google. So if you start to see a lot of bus stop icons scattered throughout the island, that's basically our bus stops for the Helion system. And you'll be able, through Google Maps, be able to compare transit travel times to biking, walking, or driving your own personal automobile. We also have a mobile app to where you can pay for your fare through Token Transit. You can download that app and you'll be able to basically pay for your bus fare utilizing a credit card or a gift card with a Visa MasterCard logo. And it's another way that we're trying to make transit accessible to all. And then lastly, through our app that we have with Move It, you can also access the high bike system. And that will allow you to pay for high bikes, unlock bicycles, and see how many bikes are available at docks that are located in Kailua, Kona, and Hilo. And then lastly, as part of technology, starting this month, those that utilize the Helion transit system gets free access to the high bike system. And all you simply need to do is ask the bus driver for a code. The driver will, once you get that code, put it inside the high bike app or at the high bike kiosk, and you get unlimited 30-minute rides in either Hilo or Kailua Kona. And what I mean by 30-minute rides is basically as long as you ride the bicycle and return it back to the dock within 30 minutes, you can recheck it out again for another 30-minute period for the entire day. The last piece I want to talk about as it relates to the Mass Transit Agency is the Pahoa Transit Hub and bus stops. We are in progress of getting ready to study several sites so that we can construct a Pahoa Transit Hub. The site analysis that will be performed by our consultant will basically narrow down to 3 sites that we will ultimately purchase and then start the process to construct a transit hub. Our consultant will also prepare an environmental assessment and do the initial 30% design of the hub. We are also in discussions with the state library as it's a desire to potentially co-locate a library in the Pahoa, in the Puna district with this transit hub to promote multimodalism and connectivity to the community. It is our intent that this hub will have a parking lot, areas for the buses to turn around, electric charging for cars and for the buses, a building that would feature restrooms, a community room, as well as potentially the library, restrooms, bike racks, telephone, and lighting and security. Also, in addition, we'll be engaging a consultant to assess all of the bus stops island-wide so that we can start ensuring that our bus stops are in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And as part of that assessment, we're also going to be transitioning the transit system from a flag stop system to a bus stop system with signs, benches, shelters, and ADA pads so that we can deploy wheelchair lifts or ramps for those that are mobility devices to access our transit system. And then the last thing I just want to mention is that we're also in the progress of basically replacing the entire transit fleet. We have enough grant funding to basically purchase 38 brand new buses. We are going through the process now to procure these buses, and it is our goal to have basically a fleet of the future in place by fiscal year 2024. And thank you for having me speak.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I appreciate the update. Okay, we will now move on to an update on the Pohiki boat ramp. We have Bob Masuda, Finn McCall from DLNR, as well as John Kitahara, their consultant. Not sure who will be giving the presentation, but I will open up the floor to whoever wants to grab it.
We just Zendo, I'll open up. Bob Masuda,
All right,
first
Bob, you got
deputy,
it.
first deputy at DLNR. I just wanted to mention
Hello?
our appreciation for working with folks like Ku'ule and Mililani and folks on the Pohiki boat ramp, as well as with all of the county folks, the university and others in some of the land issues around Kumukahi and working with protecting our iwi kupuna. We appreciate working with the lineal descendants there, and always happy to work with Keith and Mo and all of this county team. Good to see you guys. So I'm going to turn over the screen to Finn McCall, our chief engineer for our division of boating and ocean recreation. Finn will give you the overall update on the Pohiki ramp, which we consider to be one of the two most critical things in Puna for our State Department of Land and Natural Resources, along with the Kumukahi work. So Finn, you want to take over? I think you have something on the screen.
Yep. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Finn McCall. I'm the engineering branch head for the DLNR Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation. I have a short PowerPoint presentation here. I don't know if, can I share my screen, Zendo?
You should be able to. Go ahead if you can't, then we will have some technical assistance for you. Yeah. There we go. You're good.
Hold on. Wait. Sorry. Here we go. Slide. Show. Sorry, guys. The Zoom bar is not letting me hit the slideshow button here. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here's a quick update on the Pohiki boat ramp restoration project. So right now we're currently in the permitting and design phase of the project. Right now we're the first step of that is doing an environmental assessment. There's a list here of the alternatives that are going to be considered in the EA. The preferred alternative, of course, in the project we're going to be pursuing is the dredging of the volcanic debris from the entrance channel and turning basin, and then put in hazard mitigation measures, essentially to protect the dredged area from erosion due to the wave action. Estimated costs for this project is between 3.5 million and 6 million. Second alternative in the EA, and this was looked at in a previous study, was to construct two large breakwater structures that extend out into Pohiki Bay, and dredging out the area in between to provide access to the existing boat ramp. Estimated cost on that project was about 38 million. And then third alternative that will be looked at is construction of a whole new boat ramp on the north side of Pohiki Bay. And we've got a cost estimate of that of 28 million. And of course, the fourth alternative will be the no action alternative, which we do not intend on pursuing at all. And also, the EA is going to include all the items required needed for federal compliance so that FEMA can approve the project moving forward. We also have to do permitting for the project. Permitting process will begin after the final EA is issued. The main permit we need is a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers to do the dredging work and hazard mitigation, erosion control work. We also need various county and other state approvals. And then after the permitting is done, we move into the design phase. The final design is going to be based on the alternatives selected through the EA, which, as I mentioned previously, is the first alternative of dredging the channel and putting in erosion control structures to protect the entrance channel. And through the design process, we'll have final plans, specs, and bidding documents prepared for construction. So this is the EA alternative one, our preferred scope of work. The area that you see there in red is the area where the erosion control, what are called marine mattresses are going to be placed along the slope of the dredge area. The actual width of this might end up being wider to accommodate vessels coming in and out of the boat ramp. And here's another slide just showing where all the dredge material is going to be placed. It's going to be placed on the newly formed lava on the north side of the harbor. So here's a update on the status and timeline of the permitting design work that's going on. We do have a consultant contract that was executed in November. We're currently executing a supplemental contract to change our source of funds, and we are anticipating to give the notice to proceed by this month. And after the consultant contract is executed, we begin a pre-designed EA report. It's being done by our consultant, the Limpiaco Consulting Group. So the pre-designed EA report will summarize the alternatives that will be in the EA and the design concepts for each, with an estimated 4-month duration for that. And after that's completed, the elements of that report are going to be incorporated into the EA. We estimate the EA to be issued approximately 4 months after the pre-design report. After the draft EA is issued, we estimate to issue the final EA approximately 3 months after that. After the final EA is issued, we begin the permitting process, which will be based on the alternatives selected in the EA. We anticipate to submit all the required permit applications within 3 months after issuance of the final EA. And we're hoping for agency approvals within 6 months after submittal of our applications. After all the permitting is obtained, the next phase is to go into the final design for the project, and we estimate approximately 4 months for that. So total timeline from now to start of construction, we're looking at approximately 2 years. One item in here is FEMA has to approve our construction scope of work and cost. It's not in this timeline because we are going to try and get that done concurrently during the permitting design phase to try and expedite the process. But just keep in mind that, you know, this is an estimated timeline. One of the things that is out of our control is how long it takes the various agencies to approve all of our permit applications. So we will continue to work diligently with those agencies to try to meet that 6-month mark. And in terms of construction, again, EA permitting design completions estimated to be done approximately 2 years from now, January 2024. Issue our solicitation for bids the same month and execute a contract by April 2024 and issue the construction NTP by May of 2024. And we estimate with a 6-month duration to be completed by approximately November 2024. So brief update on the funding sources. We have $500,000 allocated from the state legislature for a feasibility study. Those funds will be used for this consulting contract to prepare the EA and permitting and design. We also have $1.5 million allocated from the legislature to prepare plans and for construction. 235 of these funds will be encumbered into the consulting contract because the consulting contract includes the full scope of the EA, the permitting, and the design. So the balance of those funds, 1.265 million, will be used as the state's share of construction costs. And funding is available for FEMA for up to 75% of eligible costs, subject to FEMA's approval. And that concludes the
Finn?
update on Pohiki. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, Finn, just so that we give the audience a sense of why we went with option 1, dredging the previous channel, redredging or restoring the previous channel, because the restoration would save us a lot of time. Option 2 and option 3 in a new site would just catapult the time so far in the future that it'll surely kill all of our lavaya. So our priority was to try and regain access for all the subsistence and commercial fishermen that use the boat ramp. And that's been our major thing pushing. And of course, some of the bureaucracy stuff all over when you're dealing among various levels, federal, state, etc., contributes to the time. But thanks, Finn.
Yeah, no
If you have
problem.
any questions, you can put it in the chat, and I'm sure Ash will pass it on to Finn and myself, and we can get it back to Ash and other folks that we're working with. So that's the Pohiki ramp, Ashley.
Thank you.
I
Thank you,
think
Bob.
just to take 1 minute to just mention that the other major thing of concern for the LNR is a cultural preservation thing for working with the county and the university. We've already negotiated a transfer of the university property near around surrounding the Kumukahi lighthouse, and that will be transferred to the state so that the state can work with lineal descendants. And our intention is to work in partnership with the university, the county, and the state in helping to create an ancestral Ivikupuna sacred area. And that we can, because this is, Kumukahi is the first part of the state of Hawaii that greets the sun. And we know that culturally and value-wise, this is a very important thing. And so the Ivikupuna who are buried and interned there are important to all of us. And we are working hard on trying to collaborate, especially with lineal descendants, county and us, in working together. So we'll work with the county definitely. The university side, we've already had an agreement. I've talked directly with President Lasner and his representatives. So that's moving along. We just have to do it right and respectfully. So Zendo, that's the two major things that we have.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Finn. Really appreciate your diligence.
Hi, Zendo, this is Finn. Sorry, I forgot to mention one more thing that I saw brought up in the chats here. One thing that we are also going to incorporate into the EA is creating a swim area at Pohiki. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. That is not something that is eligible for FEMA funds, but we're going to include it in our EA anyways, so that it's covered in terms of the environmental review, because we know that's a very important thing for the Puna community.
Yeah, and it would not be appropriate or proper or respectful if we don't mention very significant supporters. Actually, she's pounding on me constantly. Your Senator Joy Bonaventura, who is a major advocate for hurry up and get the access to the ocean going. So when you see her, please thank her and thank Gregor Hilagan. I love working with Gregor. He's a great guy. So you have two state legislators and a county representative who are working very closely with us at the state, along with all of the county directors. Great county team. Thanks to Mayor for hiring such brilliant guys and charming.
Thanks, Bob. You're too kind. And Finn, thank you. I was about to put you guys on the spot with the safe swimming area based on our last conversation. So thanks for just coming out and putting it on the record. We really appreciate it. Pohiki needs it. I know you folks know that, and I really appreciate your diligence. And I really appreciate you, Gregor, helping bring additional funds forward to make that a reality. So thank you in advance. Okay. That concludes the general updates from all the various agencies. Thank you all very much. As you can all see, time is gotten a little bit away from us, but a lot of great information here. We're going to shorten the Q&A session to about 15 minutes. Going to take some hand raising, and I'll do some through the chat. Probably will not be able to answer everybody's question. We'll do one question per person and try to get as far as we can. If there's additional questions, please email the team and we will get answers to you all. We are not shy. We want to communicate effectively. So my suggestion would be to ask pointed questions. If you use your time to vent a little bit, so be it, but I will move it forward with other questions. So Robert Golden, you can have the first question. If you're speaking, I cannot hear you.
Now you can hear me?
Yep.
Great. So I'm just speaking for many of us who are concerned about the lack of safe access. Finn did mention that there's going to be some kind of swimming access, but that actually we didn't really see that. And we don't really understand, many of us don't understand why there's Halanui cannot be restored, not to its original state, not digging down 20 feet, but why cannot some efforts be made to reconfigure that so there could be ocean access at Halanui? And I just would like to see the county put some serious effort into exploring areas so people can safely enter the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If you'd like to raise your hand, I can call you there. If you'd like to put your question in the chat. If you put your question in the chat 5 or 10 minutes ago, I'll probably not get to it. So you want to just go ahead and refresh it. Okay, PMAX, what about the new beaches? Living on Kapoho Bay, I watched Kumukahi used daily for 45 years with respect. Not really sure on that question. I know, okay. I got a road to recovery straight ahead on the screen.
Yes, I wanted to revisit Halanui as well. Since we have the LNR in the meeting, it seems like there should be a dialogue about securing some shoreline in front of the old park. It seems like that should have started quite a while ago. And also, at the last meeting, I asked for the county's assessment of how many people were utilizing the 2 parks on a daily basis. Main Street's gone ahead and made some estimates from our knowledge of the park, and if the county's unable to provide those numbers, it seems like they shouldn't be making decisions on how to allocate the funds for the restoration of those parks, whether or not to or against, without those numbers. And I would urge you, please provide us with an estimate. Maurice is on here, so maybe at some future meeting he can do that. But based off of what you guys were saying earlier about the county sending down multiple trucks a day to remove trash, it seems like that might be a way of trying to back estimate how many people utilize the parks. And I think those are crucial numbers when we're making decisions on what to restore and what not to restore. Considering that Halanui was the only place that disabled folks and elderly folks and very young children could access the ocean, it seems like it's hard to put a value on that, but it's definitely in the community's best interest to have that reestablished. I thank you.
Thank you, Amadeo. I was going to move back to PMAC's question about the beaches in Kumukahi and opening the new beaches. Just wanted to say that there's a lot of work going on the backside with the lineal descendants, cultural descendants, on just kind of how to manage that whole Kumukahi area. So it's a work in progress, but it is being worked on, and I don't have a lot of information to give you at this point in time. But I can say that everyone who's working on it does realize the value of the beach access and the importance of the beach access, and myself very, very deeply. So we will move to Leah.
Aloha. I just to follow up on the other questions regarding Halanui and the safe swim, just a quick question that has been raised to me also from Auntie Luana Jones. We've been talking a lot. She's been working for decades in getting on this effort of safe swim in Pohiki or along the coastline long before the 2018 eruption. What is the possibility of pukaing a new pond with like some kind of makaha vent, you know, of doing that? Is that one option that we could look into as a community, and that might divert some of the traffic and pressure along the swim areas at possibly Pohiki by the boat ramp? Mahalo.
Thank you, Leah. I will turn that over to Finn.
Hi, this is Finn. Yeah, if I can share my screen again real quick, I can show the approximate area that we were looking at where the swim area was going to go. So the area in red here is the boat ramp entrance channel, and then this area over here would be an additional area that we would dredge out and stabilize to provide a swim area with buoys across the area where the channel is, you know, to protect swimmers. Yeah, so that's basically kind of what we're looking at. In terms of excavating a new swim area, that is a possibility. It's you know, we need to find a good location for it, of course, and get the funding for it. But you know, permitting would be a pretty significant undertaking. But I mean, nothing's impossible if we have the funds, basically.
Yeah, I think we should also mention, Finn, that prior to coming up to this first, second, third kind of priority that Finn had in his presentation, we had commissioned immediately, pretty within a year after the eruption finished, to look at restoring boat access for fishing, because we know how important fishing and fishermen are in Puna. We commissioned a study of potential areas to locate a ramp and a boat ramp harbor access kind of thing. And I think you all know, since you live there, and I know because I've been, you know, visiting my grandma and grandpa in East Hawaii for ages, probably the oldest guy on this call, and have been fishing and diving all over that coast. And the toughest coast in the state is from Kumukahi to South Point. And there's not any big open bay or harbor that's a natural harbor. And the days of blowing up stuff and making pukas in the shoreline is a little different now. We have an environmental protection agency. We have all kinds of laws governing the protection of the shoreline and waterways. So it's complicated, but given the result on that first study we did on looking for alternative access ramp area, that's why we're looking at redredging and protecting. And part of the reason why Finn can cockroach a little bit from our construction and drainage of the access to the ocean again is he's probably going to use the dredging work time to help dredge out that other area so we can have a swim area. If we had to do it separately, of course, it would be much more expensive. We are trying to get maximum outcome from the minimal amount or the maximum amount we can get from the federal relief programs. So just to give you a background.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, and appreciate trying to get that economy of scale and your guys' commitment to getting the safe swimming area down in Pohiki. We are very grateful for that. I'm going to move to one question related to clarification on the emergency generator on Ola'a. I'll hand that over to Keith, and then we'll close out the Q&A with Auntie Ku'ule. Transition after Keith gives a clarification on the Ola'a generator, emergency generator for Ola'a.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what the question was. Yeah, we're always
I get clarification on the emergency generator on Ola'a. my understanding is that you guys, if the power goes down, we need emergency generators, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's always something we're looking to outfit our systems with, is backup emergency generators. But to be frank, I'm probably not going to see that happen with this source of funding. There's other sources of funding that could help us with that we've utilized in the past, particularly with FEMA and hazard mitigation type funding. So highly likely that that project won't be utilizing this source of funding.
Excellent. Thank you, Keith. And also understand that having that list of additional projects is critical as we move through the FEMA process. Just in case one doesn't qualify, we have those as backup at the highest and best use, which is the diligence that both these department heads have been going through on working for. So thank you for that. We will now, Antiku'ule, we will close out the Q&A with.
Thank you kindly. And I appreciate Finn and Bob's update, and Uncle Bob, mahalo very much for stating exactly what we are concerned about. In that light, I would like to ask, as you remove the gravel from the dredging portion, putting it onto the new lava on the, without the map up, on the Kapo side, would the DLNR and DOBAR consider using that area as a parking area for our boats, because the drainage would be far better than utilizing the existing parking lot that turned into a mud hole that our community maintained. Further, I would like to ask if the funds that were paid to DOBAR, DLNR, over the course of several years, a decade, I believe, or more, from our tour boats and the fishermen, our Lawai'a, could we possibly use those funds, a little bit of it, to make a boat parking area with enhancement, improvement, which the funds were, I understand, utilized for, yes, across the state. But at this juncture, given the pittance that FEMA has afforded our county, I would like to ask respectfully that DLNR help us in getting our boats a parking area that will suffice and not take more of the land, that what little is left of the park area. Secondly,
Finn and I will make sure we explore with John, who is on this call also. I think it's a great idea to see if we can use that area. You know, use some big D14, whatever, flatten it out, and you'll be far enough above the water, and maybe use it as a boat parking area. But don't tell me to put roof over. No
need. Mahalo,
but it's a
Uncle
good
Bob.
idea. The other idea you had about using whatever money that was collected from the boat, because Pohiki doesn't have boat moorings. The boating fund is mostly funded through boat mooring rentals or lease rent. The amount that we get from commercial fisherman license is truly peanuts. So don't push that part of getting the money for this.
Well, the lava tour boats, I understand that, Uncle Bob, the lava tour boats have informed us, though they paid handsomely, not just the fishermen, but regardless, I just want to
Let's
ask.
not argue. You have a good idea. We will explore it.